Okay. So our session isn't overly long, so I don't want to waste any time by waffling along. So thank you to all of you that have joined, and I am going to hand you over to Shoneen. Have I pronounced that correctly?
Yeah.
Shoneen, who's joined us from YJLC, one of our very strong stakeholders. So great to see you here today. Usual protocols with stick your hand up, or Shoneen will tell you whether you should like you to wait or whatnot, but I'll keep an eye on the chat in the side and see if there's any questions that need answering. If we don't get round to it today, then in the session, then we'll make sure that we follow up with you and send it on. But just to remind everybody that we are now recording, and if people wouldn't mind keeping yourselves on mute unless you're asking a question, that would be fantastic. Right, I'll hand over. Thanks, Shoneen.
Great, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen, so hoping the tech works. I'm at the end of my presentation rather than at the beginning, so we get to the beginning and then I can introduce myself. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for giving up your lunchtime. I'm Shoneen Lamb. As Lisa mentioned, I am one of the directors at the Youth Justice Legal Centre. And I am a barrister by background. I practiced criminal defence work. Then I went to the USA, where I represented people who were facing the death penalty with Clive Stafford Smith. I came back to the UK and started Just for Kids Law with Ika Stevenson. Ika was at the time a yacht worker. She was the bail and remand worker for Westminster Youth Offending Team. And we got to know each other because most of my cases were in that court. We decided to set up Just for Kids Law together to provide really the best representation that we could to children and young people who were facing criminalisation, and looking at everything else that was going on in their lives. So did they need additional care support? Did they need help with education, immigration, housing, and bringing all of those things together to try and get them out of the criminal legal system? As a part of Just for Kids Law, we set up the Youth Justice Legal Centre in 2014, meant to be the education and training arm of Just for Kids Law, with the idea, and you will know this better than me, that most lawyers in the criminal court, not most, that's not fair, a lot of lawyers in the criminal courts don't really know the law relating to children and young people. So they might know the criminal law, but they don't know how it relates to children and young people. And over the years, we spun Youth Justice Legal Centre out in 2023 from Just for Kids Law to become its own organisation. And we've realised that actually the experts in the law are often the Youth Justice Service members who are doing this work every day. They're very deep knowledge, and often feel that the hierarchy of the court system doesn't empower them to challenge judges and lawyers, legal advisors, Crown Prosecution Service workers, and police officers. And so we found that by using our legal skills, we can share that knowledge with you so that you can use it to support children and young people. So images, and I should put it on display function, shouldn't it? It's got, I don't know that I can do that. Might be too much. There we go. So images and online sexual offending, obviously this is something that you've been seeing for many years. We've been seeing it too. I think it was in 2020, so now 6 years ago, maybe even a little before, 2018, we took a judicial review in Manchester of a decision to prosecute a child for possession of nudes. And this was right before Outcome 21 came in. And at the time, the police was still prosecuting children for possession of online images, and the reason why I'm hesitating is I'm trying to think if it was argued that those images were consensual or not. But this is a very timely training. As you're aware, the government has made an announcement about banning social media for those under 16, and also much in the headlines has been the sentencing for children for real life sexual offences. So this kind of crosses over with both of those things. And there's new legislation that's come in that I will point you to. So in the year ending March 2025, 54% of the sexual offences committed by children related to indecent or extreme pornographic images or videos. And the number of sexual offences committed by children increased by 6% compared to the previous year. But sexual offences still consist of only around 4% of the overall offending. And what we don't know when we see this increase in 6%, and this is something we've been talking to the Ministry of Justice about, is whether that's an increase in reporting or if there is an increase in the behaviour that might be deemed sexual offending. And you will have a sense in your own area which one that is. Just to say, I'm very happy to answer questions. I will ask you questions, and it would be great if people can either put their hands up or just jump in. And Lisa, if you are monitoring the chat, it would be great. Please do interrupt me. I'm very happy to be interrupted. The thing that's perhaps the most surprising, and I'm sure you're aware of this as well, about sexual offending for children is that the recidivism rate is particularly low. And that is compared to statistics that show that children that go to custody have a normally about 60% reoffending rate. But children who are accused of a sexual offence and undergo training or therapeutic support have a very, very low rate of reoffending. And this is probably because all teenagers are involved. Well, not all of them, but teenagers are sexually experimenting. If they are sexually active, they are sexually experimenting, and they may not understand the rules, the boundaries, or the problems. However, 87% of those offences are committed by boys, and in an environment where people are very much about protecting, quite rightly, by the way, girls and women against violence and misogyny, it often means that those types of cases are the ones that the public might have an outcry about and try and influence what's happening in the society. Now, I've been thinking about the Fording Bridge case because Just for Kids law, because it's going up to be AG refed, and we've just been thinking about it. And I think I can see it from both perspectives. In this space, I'm sure many of you have had similar cases. I've done trainings on sexual offending, and I've had conversations with youth justice service workers with regards to that. But if you are a parent of a girl, it is very concerning. And if you're a parent of a teenage boy, it's also very concerning. And we need to really look at those things from two perspectives. One, what is the function of the criminal legal system? It's obviously to hold people to account and to help them to learn, but it's also to make people feel safe in society. But what we know is really effective outside of the media headlines is very good training, understanding, and therapeutic support so that boys understand what appropriate behaviour looks like. And you will all, I'm sure, be aware of that. So the common offences that you'll see, and this is one of the idiosyncrasies in law, is the taking, making, and distribution of indecent photographs. And what does indecent mean in that context? Well, it doesn't mean that a child has to be naked or in a sexualized pose. It can be semi-naked, and so therefore a lot of photographs that people would send through social media could be deemed to be in breach of the law. It's a very old law, 1978. That's the one that's most commonly used. But the most, from my perspective, ridiculous part of this law is that while it is okay for, or not, while it is legal to be in a sexual relationship over the age of 16, it is not legal to share images with each other, even though you might be having a sexual relationship. And that really comes about from the protection of children. And so it was the idea that children would be protected from predatory adults. We can understand, excuse me while I get a throat sweet. We can understand the reasoning behind that, but then it started to be used against children themselves. So the MPC Outcome 21 was created with the idea that this should be the disposal that's available to children where there are no aggravating features such as coercion, exploitation, power imbalance, profit motive, or malicious intent. There is a separate offence for possession of extreme pornographic images that you may have seen. There are other sexual offences that really relate to online offending, causing or inciting a child to engage in sexual activity. This can also be part of catfishing, where people create fake accounts, causing a child to watch sexual acts, and then malicious communications. These are all other parts of the legislation that can be used to criminalize children. And I suppose what I wanted to ask you, if anyone wants to put in the chat or wants to tell me about, are you seeing these low-level offences where the police are continuing to prosecute rather than giving outcome 21s, or are they pretty much giving outcome 21s? And in an evolving landscape, we see offences coming along of malicious communication. So one of the cases we've most recently seen was someone inviting people to their birthday party. And I think the photograph in the image was maybe of her topless, and some of the other girls complained that it was a malicious communication, and the police were investigating that offence. But also, some of you may have come across some of that 764 comms group activity. If those of you who haven't heard of it, please would you put that into the chat, so I can talk about it a little bit more with it, because that is encouraging particularly boys into inciting children into sexual activity.
There's definitely some people that haven't heard of it.
They haven't heard of it. Perfect. No. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So 764, it's really interesting, actually. There's a BBC, and when I get time, I'll try and put it in the chat. There was a BBC online, a BBC radio show about it. 764 was a comms group that was set up in America as a kind of subreddit thread of, I suppose we would call them incel type boys. And it's really just crossing over where you can see online challenges going very badly wrong. So it's now been considered a prescribed group in America. So it's seen as a terrorist group. It's a young man in Texas who set it up. But in the 764 group, the boys would encourage each other to go into groups where there are girls, perhaps vulnerable girls who might be self-harming, some of the other groups on Reddit, and love bomb those girls, and make those girls feel like these boys were coming in as their boyfriend, wanted to have a relationship with them, create a connection with that individual person, take that connection offline or off the big group, and then encourage that young girl to send videos of herself, either sexualized videos or self-harming videos. And it was all with the intent then of coming back to the group and sharing those with the 764 comms group. So within the 764 comms group, they would have incentivized ways of telling boys, this is what you need to do to get this girl to send you the video, and then the reward or the prize success would be uploading the video to the 764 comms group. And there have been prosecutions in the UK around 764 comms groups, but these are the types of things that you're likely to see coming up. And as I say, I'll try and find, when we have a break, the link to the BBC radio show if you want to listen to it. So the government obviously has been toying with the idea of banning social media for those who are under 16. But in the meantime, there's been a creation of new offences. And the Online Safety Act, which came in 2023, those bits of legislation have now come into force and include a specific offence, which is then put into the 2003 Sexual Offences Act. And those include cyber flashing, so sending unsolicited photograph of or film of genitals through digital means, sharing or threatening to share intimate photograph of image, so kind of revenge porn. That, I think that's not, people don't want that language to be used, but that's what we probably know it was. And then additional voyeurism was already an offence, but they've added in additional offences, specifically including upskirting, and it's aggravated when it's for the purpose of sexual gratification or humiliating or causing alarm and distress to the person recorded. And of course, voyeurism existed, predated the digital world, but the digital world is a way that those images can be shared. Also on the radar, new image offences are coming in through the Crime and Policing Act. These are coming into force at the end of June, and relate very much to that finding that the majority, or not the majority, but a lot of sexual acts amongst teenagers involved strangling or suffocating, and that was really because a lot of the pornography that was viewed included that. So it's now going to be a criminal offence to possess pornographic images that display strangling or suffocating a person, and taking or recording intimate photograph or film with the intent of causing alarm, distress, or humiliation, or for the purpose of obtaining sexual gratification. So that's where it's non-consensual, the taking or recording of an intimate photograph or film. The new legislation also is going to have, when it comes into force, it has protection for image generators. So child sex abuse material, AI created child sex abuse material. This is going to be become a criminal offence, and many children may not be aware that these AI images are illegal to possess. So it might be quite important to let children know, because obviously children are quicker to use new tools than adults, and AI will be a big source of teenage behavior. So AI images will now fall into the Coroners and Justice Act, and the Police Crime and Policing Act 2026 introduces a new offence of a possession of a sexual abuse image generator. So that will be a bit of software on the computer that will allow child sexual abuse to be created. And there will also be an offence to create a purported intimate image of an adult. So, for example, if a child had a sex abuse image generator, and for example, you can imagine as a joke, they put in their teacher into that image, and then that gets shared amongst a peer group. This will now become a criminal offence, and again, that will come into the Sexual Offences Act 2003. So watch this space. I'm pretty certain you will be seeing offences of this kind coming across your radar. As you are aware, hot off the press, the UK government announced its Australia Plus plan banning social media for under 16s, which includes Snapchat, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, X, and Facebook. However, WhatsApp and Signal will currently be excluded from that, with the government saying that that's because that people share music, their music generators. I can't really understand the logic behind that. But live streaming and communication with strangers will also be blocked for under 16s. On a wide range of online services, such as gaming sites like Roblox. I suppose, I mean, the government's obviously been debating whether to create this ban or not, but perhaps one of the benefits of it for those of us who work with children and young people is that this might add additional protection to them if they are online, live streaming or in social media, and there is someone who's grooming them as an adult on that site. Hopefully, in those situations, the children will be seen as victims of the offending rather than as perpetrators. The dark web, as you're probably familiar with, refers to networks that use the internet but require specific software to access and involve communicating anonymously without divulging information as to the user's location. Now, the dark web can be used for a number of different sources. Last week, I think we saw in the media those sites where children are able to buy substances. A Canadian man was prosecuted for selling substances to those in the UK, and I think on the closure of his site, they've seen things coming in from the Ukraine, but also the dark web can be where these child sexual abuse material generators exist. The dark web itself is not illegal, and using it doesn't mean that a child is particularly sophisticated. Most children and young people can use it. And children also use new technologies to elevate or maintain their social standing amongst their peers. So when the police are investigating indecent images offences, they will break them down into 3 categories, which are according to the level of severity. Category A is the most serious, and that involves penetrative sexual activity with an animal, or sadism. Category B are in the middle, and that involves non-penetrative sexual activity. And category C are other images of a sexual nature that do not fall into B. They're partially clothed children and sexual posing. and there's a link there to where you can find what the different categories of offending are. I have seen, and I'm sure this is true, by the way, for youth justice services, it is for teachers. I was just looking at a safeguarding in education guidance, and it says that where it's believed that a teacher believes there are indecent images of other children on someone's device, phone, for example, they mean the teacher should not look at those images, but should pass them on to the police for the police to investigate the device. And it makes sense to me that that would be a recommendation, because you don't want to end up in a situation, this is obviously thinking about teachers, where the teacher is accused of viewing sexualized images of children by asking someone what is on their phone and asking them to share those images or show those images to a teacher. So a lot of the work, knowing that the reoffending rate's so low for children and not wanting to criminalize children unnecessarily, means a lot of this work will be about pre-charge engagement with the police, and asking them not to proceed with a prosecution, or even in some cases not to proceed with an out-of-court resolution if it's deemed in the child's best interest to do that. Of course, when you are engaging with the police, the criteria that they have to consider is the gravity matrix, and I'm sure you are all familiar with that. But these are the criteria within the gravity matrix that are really the relevant ones to be discussing with them, and perhaps in your panels, about what the best outcome might be for a child that's been caught in possession of images. So aggravating features are that the child would be under 13, that there are a large number of images, that the images are Cat A and or Cat B, the damage that's been caused, that there have been previous allegations or convictions, that the child is known to the offender, so that's assuming that that you know there is some kind of exploitative relationship between them, or perhaps an older younger sibling relationship, and evidence that the images are or have been distributed. Mitigating factors will be that the person alleged to have offended has been abused themselves, they're a victim of abuse themselves. They have a mental health, and that would include a neurodiversity condition, a mental impairment, or a learning disability, or that the images are of an older child and they're considered to be in the same peer group as the child or young person. And then there are offence-specific factors. And it's interesting to note that the distress to the victim is one of the aggravating and mitigating features in here, which aligns with the victim work that you will all be doing, and their intention to humiliate the victim, where you've seen a repeated circulation of the image and film, so it's been spread more broadly, that will be an exacerbation, and then everything else is victim related. On the mitigation side, it's mental health and learning disability, and that the offence was limited in scope and duration. You may also be making representations, or at least the child's lawyer might be making the representations to the Crown Prosecution Service, if it has been decided that it's so serious that it might be charged. The Crown Prosecution Service have their own guidance, which is different from the gravity matrix, and I've added links to that there. These are two of the Crown Prosecution Service's guidance. One is on children as suspects and defendants, and the other is specific CPS guidance on indecent images to children. The child suspects and defendants is a kind of generic overarching guidance that the CPS must consider when any child is being prosecuted. And they have to consider whether it's in the public interest or whether an out-of-court resolution is appropriate, applying that guidance. And the CPS guidance says, even if there were a realistic prospect of a conviction in the case of making an indecent image of themselves, it's highly unlikely to be in the public interest to prosecute a child. So that's really important guidance in that. There are defences to the possession of images. One that the first defence would be they had a legitimate reason to have that image, and that will be a fact-specific investigation that the police will have to consider. There can be a lack of awareness if they've not themselves seen the photograph in question and did not know or suspect them to be indecent, or that those photographs have been unsolicited and they were not kept for an unreasonable amount of time. We have seen cases that I'm sure you have as well, where unsolicited folders with pornographic images have been received by children, where they've been communicating with people online, and they then haven't known what to do with them. We had one case where a young boy was 14 and he became very withdrawn. His mother didn't know what was going on. Eventually, he told her that he received these unsolicited photographs. His mother called the police. She was very concerned about the person who'd sent the unsolicited photographs and thought that the police would try and catch the person who had been sending these to her child. The police came in to her house. It was like 5 a.m. They took all of the equipment. I think they lived in a cul-de-sac. All the neighbors could see what was going on. They found the images on the child's computer, and then they charged him with possession of pornographic images. The mother obviously felt terrible. She called the police in to protect her child, and he'd ended up being criminalized. His lawyer advised him at court that it was a strict liability offence, and that if he pleaded guilty, he would get a referral order which wouldn't give him a criminal record. His mother then sent that case to Just for Kids Law, and we took it on appeal to the Criminal Cases Review Commission. Because he had pleaded guilty, the only remedy he had was to go to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, and it took us maybe 2 or 3 years, but we were able to overturn that conviction, and he no longer has a criminal record. So just to say to you, there is an opportunity to take those cases to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, and both YJLC or Just for Kids Law would be happy to look at those if you want to share cases with us. Sure, you're familiar with Report Remove, but I just put it in here for those of you that may not be. It's been created by the NSPCC and Internet Watch Foundation, and it is an opportunity for children themselves to remove images that might be on the internet that they don't want there. And there's an opportunity for adults to help children remove those images. So for those of you who work with victims, this might be useful to helping them remove images from the space, or at least giving them an opportunity to do that. I have to say, having gone through it last night, it seems quite complicated, and there is a requirement for ID, either a passport or a young citizen's card. So they need to check the age of the child involved before they remove that image. It may be that they're looking to do a safeguarding referral. I couldn't really get to the bottom of it, but it's quite a useful proactive thing that children can do. So some of the key principles in this, obviously, there's a fine line between sexual experimentation and offending. You all know this, but these are the types of representations that you'll be wanting to make in your panels or to the Crown Prosecution Service. And this should link through to the research and guidance that you might want to bring up in those meetings. Children are obviously uniquely vulnerable to the darker side of the internet, and they may be acting out of curiosity and not necessarily with a malicious intent. Children looking at images of those in their peer group is very conceptually different from adults looking at images of children. And notions of adulthood and adult sexuality should not be imposed on children. Harmful sexual behavior may be a way of communicating what has happened to them, so or an indirect response to other factors in their life. As I said, we've had a number of these cases through the YJLC advice line of inter-sibling digital sexual abuse, where the older sibling has been groomed to upload videos of the younger sibling. And we have been pushing hard on the Crown Prosecution Service to not proceed to prosecution where a multi-agency panel has decided that it's not in the younger siblings or the older siblings' best interest to do so, and the family have been kept together. But we have had to push very hard on the Crown Prosecution Service. So do come to us if you think this is what's happening if you have a particular case where that happens. As I previously mentioned, recidivism rates are very low for children, and 24% of those who engage in technology-assisted harmful sexual behavior have been groomed themselves online. That's a really important statistic, and that's included there in that NSPCC research. For those of you who are members of the Youth Justice Legal Centre, we have just published a new guide on image offences and online sexual offending, which was endorsed by the Law Society. And at the end, we have a guide, which I've included here for you, of organisations that can provide support to children and young people. I'm sure you are all familiar with the Lucy Faithfull Foundation and their programmes that they provide. These can be particularly helpful if you're looking at an out-of-court resolution to show that a child's involved and taken responsibility for their behaviour. The Mary Collins Foundation as well, I've found their materials very useful, and obviously mentioned the Childline report removed before. And then there's the Children's Commissioners in England research on what I wish my parents should know. For those of you who aren't members of Youth Justice Legal Centre, I would obviously encourage that you take up membership because we can then provide in-team trainings where we can analyse case studies within your area that can be really helpful just to talk amongst your team about what's going on and what we might be able to do. I think we provide trainings all over the country. I think some of our trainers today are in Westmoreland and Furness. And you know, we will come and deliver those to your team, and they're at a 50% discount to people who are members. And also members have access to our advice line, which is run by youth justice specialist lawyers, and we provide advice, and often we also provide support where something may not be going right. So we will get more intensely involved in cases, as I was mentioning that one about where the child's accused of a digital sexual abuse of a younger sibling. So I think that's a whiz through, but I'd love to answer any questions. Is there anything in the chat, Lisa, that people might?
Hopefully people have been
But that's a
posting
podcast.
Yep, links to the podcast
Great.
in there, which is super helpful. I don't know about anyone else, but I think you've just highlighted some powerful reflections on what's about to come into law to be passed as well that we need to reflect on. I do some work with the Secure School, so I was already scribbling down things in respect of their practice as well with the children. So, has anyone got any questions? We've got a couple of minutes left.
I have a question.
Georgia. Yeah.
Just about convictions, because I recently had a childhood of voyeurism offence, and I found it quite hard to determine whether or not his conviction is on the excluded list of convictions for like enhanced DBS checks and standard DBS checks. I'm just wondering if there's any guidance around convictions and disclosures.
Yes, and it's really important. And I'm just going to add it. We've got a YGLC has guidance on criminal records. Let me just put that in the chat to you. And it's really hard for me, obviously, to answer to the specifics of the offence, because while criminal records should be easy, they're obviously not. I'm just moving us over into the chat. And really, so I'm going to go very, very overview. It's at the discretion of everything's saved on the police national computer. It's then at the discretion of the police when a standard or enhanced DBS check application comes across as to what they choose to include or not include. So what we've been recommending to children and young people is that if they want to know whether that will or will not come across or come up, they can do a subject access request from the police as to whether this is disclosable. Now, the reason why I hesitate to give a clear answer is it's very much a postcode lottery and seems to depend on the police in the local area or even the individual police officer as to whether anything comes up. So cautions, obviously, that was the case we took, don't automatically get disclosed now, but it doesn't mean that there still isn't the discretion to be disclosed. And most recently, so sorry to be the really awful lawyer and have to raise a note of caution to everyone, but most recently, Just for Kids Law has been working on a case where a child had been put on the barred list in the DBS, which are different from the disclosure on enhanced or standard checks. And that was a child who'd been put on the barred list for something that they hadn't been convicted of. So there was absolutely no conviction against this child. But according to the Metropolitan Police, there'd been a series of allegations that were of a sexualized nature that had been caught on CCTV. And those have been investigated by the police, not proceeded with. And then when he had gone to apply for a job, he'd been notified that he'd been on the barred list of working with children. So I'm really sorry to say, Georgia, there's no clear answer. But this is something that we do want to work on, and we've got some funding to work on it. And I know the government's interested in it because it's so complicated that it really needs to be sorted out. And I think there is a kind of intent within the Ministry of Justice to try and prevent childhood criminal records going on into adult life.
Brilliant. Thanks for giving that a go, Shanine. And unfortunately, we've run out of time, everyone. But thank you so much for spending your lunch break, she says that hilariously, with everybody. And that was super informative. And thank you so much, Shanine. If you send me the slides, I'll forward them on to everybody.
Definitely.
And I'll definitely share the publication of today through the bulletin and with others that have shown interest in attending as well. But thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll definitely invite you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.
What time?
Because I'm off in that one.
Okay. Oh, for Ridwan. Okay, okay. Let me check. Let me check. Okay, give me a second.
Because there was changes
Oh.
last minute, so there was 3 changes yesterday.
What time?
I've got a back on track meeting at 2. If like anything after 3 maybe, or is that too late?
It,
Or
it looks as if here between 2 and 3.
yeah, I've got the back on track at 2.
Oh, have you? Oh, that's kind of
What do you got?
what do you think? Wednesday, isn't it? Yeah. So look,
Wednesday.
what do
Let
you?
me give me two
Are you
seconds. I'll check.
sure? Okay. So that's like from 9, and then it looks as like
12.
12. Yeah, just in my brain, I'm like, did anybody call and reschedule? No, so we could do 12.
It shouldn't take long.
Okay,
Just gonna go through the
is
questions and
Vida.
what you call it, the case and stuff.
Okay, 12.
So about
Half an
half an hour,
hour.
okay? I mean,
Okay,
it shouldn't take an hour. Half an hour should be
okay.
fine.
Just online, isn't it? So we don't need a room.
Are you in tomorrow or?
It looks as if I'm going to be in well, apart from Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I sent the stuff back, Fraser,
Oh, for
for Abu.
yeah. Has 12 done his asset?
No. Okay, so what it was agreed is that the panel set the what the plan is.
Oh, okay.
So then he had said that we do the asset and the plan after the panel tell us what they want us to focus on
Okay, yeah.
for the new one, if that makes sense. Because I discovered that all the other YJSs, that's how they do it. Because they basically said that, but the panel set. So why are you?
They do the panel.
Yeah, but I have done a plan with him anyway. That we'll sort of we discussed it. So when we go in, he'll be able to say what he wants us to do as well as what they will tell him to do. If that makes sense. Yeah.
No worries. I'll look at it and then send show it.
Okay. All right. Okay. I think. Don't know that the ticky thing. You know how it sort of you can change it blah. I'm not sure that it's there are bits which are still kind of red, so I'm not sure what that means. But you'll
On the asset?
no on the thingy on the annotated version. You'll do whatever. So what did he say? He says that he's engaging with both the job centre and with WorkPath. But WorkPath have said that he didn't want YJS to be notified about his engagement, but Jeff managed to get it. They basically said that he's not. He just attended one telephone and hasn't. But he keeps on telling me that he's going. He's engaging. Yeah. So yeah. Yay, how are you? I've been thinking about you all
I know, I was
day.
supposed to message you earlier, but I was at court for a kid, then I came and went into the home visit and I just come back.
Okay.
And I've got a kid downstairs. So,
Oh, have you? Do you know what I might
Thursday.
do? Do you want me to send you the interventions that we use?
and then I can pick from them.
Yeah, and then we can go through it if we need to. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I sent them to Joe a while back. So let me just find it and
And just send it to my email, please.
yeah. So then
And
at
then
least
if
you
do
know.
if you do need to, I don't know if I do need to. Thursday, I'm
For
kind of
free.
free.
Okay, let me send this to you. You can
I've got
just have
a meeting at 11,
a
so-
scan through it,
Yes,
yeah?
Thank you.
Joe Wallace.
I'm going, you know.
Oh, you going?
No, I'm going downstairs to see a kid.
Oh, okay. Oh, probation were really we had 5 PCOP trainees here today. They were really impressed with the room. Yeah, they were like, oh, we want this. We want to be working with our poxy rooms like this. Like, I don't think they'd pay for it. Quite a lot, isn't it, in there? The cushions, the sofas and stuff like that. Yeah, and we have like, in our office, we have 5 rooms. Yeah, would they be able to do that in every office across
Maybe. You
London?
never know. Well, just one little room they need. Yeah, thank you. Please send it over then. Yeah, I'll get back.
Okay.
Thanks.
She had vacation last year. She was on holiday. She was married.
Yeah.
So again, she's kind of got to slow this down.
Yeah.
She's got children.
I heard that it might be more about and they're not taxing her, I don't think.
No, because she's got 2 children. She was single parent, so she was a baby only carer in one bed flat.
Yeah.
And in order to put Western career, babies only 2.
I wonder if he would be willing to explain any other baby care. Any other baby care. The adult.
Yeah.
Adult food.
Yeah, still, because even one of our carers was SG.
Yeah.
She got paid from a 2 to a 3 bed. Yeah. Just recently.
For example, like where there's no care room, maybe baby care.
Yeah.
That's kind of narrative. Not promised anything, but maybe like.
It's possible. It is
Could be.
possible. Yeah, she got
Very-
accommodation through that. That was 5, 6 years ago. She was still married then. So 4 years now. So 3. I remember how the numbers moved into Carol. So this was due 2019. Just before, not before lockdown. Okay. I think she just moved into this property. Yeah. But she catches power. She had siblings.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Well, it depends what's happening with my visa. You know, I'm staying another year here.
You'll do it again, have you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've been on it for 3 years now, but my youth mobility visa is now ended. You have to have it for 3 years. And then I need to be on a skilled worker visa, so that's finished.
Is that easy enough?
Well, the council approved for that. It's just tricky because I don't know about the money, so it depends. Yeah, we're not using that. It doesn't matter. We'll touch base with Kelly today because I don't think I know about the other. We're ready to go back to the so the thing is they have to prove more than
You've got those travel experience.
yeah, but it is proved by it's not like I have any special I know this is some years I've covered it,
Sorry, no.
No, I haven't done any of the South Asia. There's lots of islands around New Zealand. Pacific Islands. Which is beautiful track. So an initiative is going to be on the Asia. Which is Asia Islands and Mountain Gold. So I have to do it.
Send on the phone. From here, you got to walk far, so.
14 hours.
Yeah, I've been do fancy places like that. They're cold in Thailand.
Yeah, she. There's like the yeah, they call it maybe I love that you recommend it. And it used to be good that you got the name friend for you, otherwise that's something with the name. And I told James and they were like, yeah, and I'm like, well, I still have to make sure about yeah, so we did a phone call, my mom was trying to help. Anyway, so that's what I'm It was on a random day, it was like a Wednesday.
Oh no, I was sick myself. But on Tuesday.
And not only that,
I don't see myself.
So this one says so I just changed it. This is a building system. Apparently there's a print system. Oh, sorry, I don't have it. Okay. Because when I'm asking him, it's like it's there, and I'm
So, such a small bottle. I mean, not 10. Doesn't usually come in a small bottle.
They will, but I realized that obviously I was so used to flying from here. Because usually when I fly, I have to go get like a blue bag, like a checklist. I don't have to like, but on the way back, I was doing that. And I was there at the airport, and I ended up doing that.
Yeah, but I'm not actually
When someone says to you on the train,
yeah.
Is that different magnet?
Is it? Oh, it's both. Yeah.
I like the idea of it, but I hate the taste. It's good.
Oh no. Doesn't taste that bad. Almond, which is really well. It tastes burnt. I don't know. The Turkish flat. They all went to this night. I feel like that's too much on those vegan research. I'm pretty sure when I read research last April, I was at 70% so reading this stuff. It tasted so good. Oh, that's what she wants. Does that come from what it Oh, Nessie.
I like like a brown, but I'll stay there. The hotel we gave you know what's the hotel? I just think it's so much. I was like,
Open the door. Fine.
because I came home on the Friday.
All I'm hearing is you went? Yeah. Nice. That's just
Yeah, it's less as we look.
let's kill quite a few numbers. So it's turnaround. I mean, it's scrapped.
And then we've got normal street,
3 years.
phone.
Yeah, no, just not bad. Ah.
3 years.
What is it? Is that again? Yeah, but I mean, what 2 years left? motivation actually is such going from applying for a job to
because let me tell you why. I had so much crap happening in my life. So on Saturday, all day, I looked at my bed and I went for help. I basically want to feel that my black people. We just need a lot of crap. And I left some outside for a couple of weeks, come back there. Like it was and then we got trouble in the house.
In the meantime, I'll be emailing you guys. Yeah, I'm making just a blank one. Yeah.
So how is wine?
Thank you for thinking about that.
About 6 months today, I know you'll be on that keyboard over there again. 6 months today. Play the Christmas carols.
Oh yeah.
You were a star last December. Yeah. Christmas carols. Play the keyboard. Like me typing. It's all one fingers.
I hate it. I may have more identity. I made my best friend believe that before my family went to Cairo, they used to work on
Hi, can I speak to Joanna, please?
Yeah, that's it.
Can you ask her to call me back, please?
So,
Anna, and it's regarding 40 Walden Park Avenue. Great, thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Is there another one? Yeah, why are you still here? Send me some new stuff in the month of January. Goes to Bishop Chancellor. She's on the note as well, I think we'll solve them there. Is there a contact?
Was she older? Was she older? Was she older? Right. Yep.
at 11:45. I wonder if these aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Can we schedule something for the following week? Can we do it now? Yeah. Are you in on Tuesday, Friday? Yeah, I've got a session at 2:30. Okay. So can we do 12?
Yeah, but he was off school last week.
Oh no, he's back. We're talking
Me.
Yeah.
So my book is on Thursday. Might be Thursday.
I thought that was the same.
I would just like to know what's it when after I take my day.
I literally have 9:30 way up to stand up with disgusting no. Unnecessary. So I just get very two patients on a journey and two when we come in and it's my next one. I don't know what happened. I told them there was so much stuff that I know it's not like Tuesdays. I don't want to reply to emails that I don't want to get sent.
For some reason, I was on Monday, and I was like really hoping I'm not. Yeah, you're right. That was like really long ago. Yeah.
No, I'm supposed to be carrying out an assessment on his current carer who's living anymore. Oh, okay, do you know Rio? Do you work with him? Oh. Yeah, yeah. So he's living with his friend's dad. And he's unregulated. He's not at home. But no, it's running away from there. So we've got nothing of missing persons report. Like almost a week away. We are questions. The person who lives in the so I'm trying to contact him to where he is. And then when I did find him, I called him. He said, oh, can you not call me on the phone? So I said I could please see with my number. And I called him again on the number that he asked me not to do. Anyway, so again he said the same thing. And it's been this cycle around the surface for over a month now. And I'm thinking, he's going to be 17 in August. Does anybody know when we get it's on the new induction pack, so you have to do that at the front.
I've got electronic copies. What one's one? The parent and the child.
Wait. The parent as well?
No, yours is
on the learning style questionnaire.
Oh, sorry, no, no.
If you go on to if you look up the inductions, I don't have a. Look up the induction app. There's a section in there with I have not been.
Thank you both. Thank you. Let's have a look.
I'm only getting that because
Oh, it is. It's always like 3 or 4.
I started in September. I didn't do it until
I don't think it might open up. I don't think it might open up.
Hi, Lisa. Okay, can you give me 2 minutes? Oh, maybe 3 minutes and then I'll come downstairs. Okay, okay, great, please. Yeah, just when it's on. Bye.
Oh, I see. It's just sexy sound. Can't do steps. Sammy did. You can call. No, I said, oh, can you do it back? Thursday. That's like the same day. Yeah, I love God, they're all nervous. It's actually, it's got a taste to it where it's like, so it makes it for childhood. But it does remind you of it's not fun because that's sweet.
Oh, hi, I'm good, thank you. You alright? You've got the
Yeah, it does. I think that's why I like it. It's in the childhood.
That's why I think it's something. That's why I asked if it's something people. That's why I
I'm not sure. That's the wrong person. But the role is more or less the same, isn't it? It's just a different title. Oh, is it? Yeah, she's from does he have flexibility then? Oh, I see. That is literally one of, if I move anywhere, that's how I'm communicating from me. When they're talking about it, I'm asking, how many days are two? No, sorry, one. It was 1 day, until you're doing it 1 day next week. Or, but you could, well, I was coming in two. You didn't come in. The 1 day set was Thursday. But it was just like, it's a outing. None of the other teams would come in. They could if they wanted to, but that was our day. That Wednesday was the games team, or Tuesday was the other team, the field team, which is what you want. And it was like the teams were doing it. So it was great. And then if you want to see everything around this, we didn't have this Tuesday next year. We didn't have it. We didn't do workshops. We'd have away days. What was it? You can play golf. Oh. It's a scrap.
Coming up next week.
After that's next week, there are no workshops for the rest of the month. But they need to be scrapped together. Yeah, you know.
How many you have?
Six. I want to get those averages back down. I'm gonna be at like 3. I mean, when it's on 3, it's fucking great. I mean, do we even do 5Ps anymore? When was the last 5Ps?
It was doing like this off. But the lady was off as well. The F-cap lady was off. Did you like it?
No.
But that's what I was saying.
What? The balance.
But yeah, I think it
It was really bad.
doesn't taste like that.
No, it was really bad.
Yeah, I don't like it.
She didn't take an offense to it, she just bought it.
I also thought it was nice, so I don't know.
I said the same thing, because I love that car, so I was actually quite surprised.
Yes, I have a excited for it. It was really bad. I just throw it
But the rest of it's good. Thank you. This one's supposed to be or these ones make me up there, we go.
Are you in on Thursday now?
No, okay,
Why?
because I've got 4 hours of just professional sleep. And I'm not seeing any of my kids that day.
I told you, to start. I told kids unless they really can't do it, I say to my own Tuesday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I still get there 2 days. I don't work Fridays. And a lot of them do that. Like, well, every child you can do anything, you can show free person and say shit.
Oh, don't
When
get
you
the
think
money
you
off
can
Friday.
sing, it's not my fault. And you get missing the Thursday. And then you have to come to Tuesday and Wednesday workshop.
I'm really happy because 3 of my kids.
No, that's
I've only got one kid.
You've always got people every day. You have to.
Yeah, I know you was. That's why I'm saying it to you. They're not. Give me another
I'm here every day, just no bit
yeah, see, they're worried if you're in.
Well, he said to me, like, are you like roll off?
To be fair, I did say that to supervision moving forward for the next 5 weeks. We're going to be in a lot more, at least 3 years every week. Yeah, because how can I be supposed to 9 children a week? I can do that shopping things, eat their treats, now I've got to do this review. At the end of the year reviews, Mars. You don't ask for us. That's when you reflect on your reviews. At your meetings. I don't know. I'm not very like. What did you say to Maya? Because I didn't want it. When she was with my mother, I said, you get it. She's got a lot of discount. You tell me that you want me to don't start. Yeah. Make sure she's
But the thing is, I have to.
Oh, you can't come for that.
I have to. I have.
Yeah, sure.
Headphones gone. I had them a second ago.